On today's episode, I'm going to be tackling a mindset topic, and that specific topic today is going to be taking responsibility, which is, I know it sounds like a bit of a strange topic, but I think it's a really, really important one when it comes to getting results that people underestimate massively. So we're going to be talking about how to get better results by taking responsibility and then putting that responsibility into action. So I hope you enjoy this mindset episode. Welcome to the Breakthrough the Bullshit podcast. I am your host, Alice Round. I am pumped to have you here. We are going to really strip back all of the bullshit surrounding nutrition, training, fad diets, everything in the industry, so that we can give you education to get the best possible results. So sit back, enjoy the ride, and let's go through all this bullshit. All right, guys, so we have given you a brief little intro on the podcast today, and I am coming at you from a Saturday. So this episode, I'm getting up for the week, and it's the weekend, and I know that it's kind of the reason that I wanted to do this podcast coming into the weekend, or one that you guys can listen to maybe after you've come out of the weekend, is the fact that a lot of the time the weekend can be a time where things go to shit, basically. You've done so well all week and you've nailed your meal plan or whatever it is, or your macros, and then all of a sudden the weekend comes around and you're going to social settings and social events and you're making decisions because you don't really know. Maybe one reason you don't know what to eat when you're out at social events, or the second one might be the case that you are like, fuck it, I've done so well all week, I can have whatever I want on the weekends and it doesn't matter. The other thing is you're unsure how to track certain foods if you're a macro tracker, and then that causes you to have a bit of maybe anxiety or stress or overwhelm or whatever the word you want to use to describe it, because they're all, semi-similar things. And this can kind of really spiral you mentally, and by the end of the weekend you're feeling in a pretty shitty place because you're have to maybe do your measurements or check in with your coach or whatever it is, even just look in the mirror and you feel more frumpy and you've overeaten, you haven't stuck to your plan. So there's a number of reasons, many reasons. I can do more podcasts about this later on, but one of the big reasons obviously why this system happens is that people are putting so much pressure on themselves to be perfect, and then also not taking responsibility for their actions. So a lot of the time, what I mean by that is taking responsibility for your actions, is I hear it all the time. I get emails from people and I know that they're reaching out for help. So I really do value that. And I value anyone that opens up to me, especially over email, because that's such a personal thing to send something direct to someone. And I definitely value every single individual email that I receive, and I take them all seriously. But in saying this, the thing that I've been seeing commonly in emails come through is people asking for help, but then basically asking me to solve their problems and not taking any responsibility. So what I mean by that is I had someone email the other day and they said, I just don't see any results no matter what I do. And so I emailed back and I said, okay, well, what are the kind of the biggest things that you struggle with? Is it nutrition? Is it training? Is it mindset related? Is it self-hate? Is it what is the big things? Is it mindless eating, binge eating? I was needed more specifics than that. And they emailed me back and they said, no, I feel like I do everything right with my nutrition and training, and I do everything right and I just don't see results. I do everything right and things often go wrong, or I gain more weight. And from a scientific point of view, that does not happen if you are following the correct nutritional regime to suit your body. Obviously, if you're not doing a correct diet, or your nutrition's completely off, or you're not training hard enough or doing the right forms of training, then you're not going to be getting results. But by someone simply saying, I'm doing everything right, to say that to a coach, because there's not one right way of doing things. I have no idea what you're doing. I hadn't seen a meal plan at that point. I hadn't seen a training regime. I didn't know if they were doing cardio or not. But they weren't taking responsibility. So what I mean by that is and I kept asking questions, and I spent so much time with this person over email. I really hope they're listening, because they can see how passionate I am about this topic and how much I wanted to help them. And anyway, so I emailed back and I kept asking more questions. I was like, what is it exactly that's the thing that's sort of stopping you progressing? Are you following a nutritional regime? What are you actually doing? Like, I need some more numbers, I need some more data. And I wasn't really getting anything. They just kept going back to this, I've tried everything and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And I was like, in my head going, I'm trying to help you here. I'm giving you free email assistance. I'm going out of my way to spend time in helping you, but you're just not taking any responsibility. And all I needed from that person to say was, look, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm trying. And how can you help me progress forward? And I would say, cool. These are the things that maybe that I think you can improve on. And these are the things that are good, or these are the things that we need to work on. And then create a plan of attack, because without taking responsibility, then we're not going to be able to get anywhere. So they needed to take responsibility in the fact that maybe things aren't correct, or there is certain things that they're not doing that they could be doing better or could be improved on. And, it's something that I get all the time from people in emails saying, but I'm doing the right diet, or I'm eating super clean. You can eat the cleanest food. You can scrub your food. You can eat the cleanest food in the world. But case in point is, if you are not in a form of a caloric deficit in any way, shape or form, you are not going to drop body fat. You are not going to get leaner. You're not going to change your shape. Things aren't going to happen. And if you're not consistently in that deficit, then it's not going to happen as well. So what I mean by that is, like I said before, going back to the weekend example, if you're really good Monday to Friday, and then on the weekends you go completely YOLO, you can literally undo all that good work you did during the week. Otherwise, you can do the opposite and keep your good results going on the weekend. You may not have to be as strict, but there's definitely things that I encourage with my clients and ways of getting around the weekends and having a life, especially for my lifestyle clients. In saying that, it's completely different with comp prep and a lifestyle client in how I treat how strict they need to be on the weekends. I've got a lot of clients who drink, who are going to consume alcohol, who I'm not going to tell not to do that. Obviously, I'm going to encourage them to make smart choices there. But again, you're not going to tell someone that wants to have a beverage every occasion that they can't do it. It just means that their results are going to be slower, and they have to take responsibility. Back to the topic of this podcast. They have to take responsibility that if they make the choice to drink, your results in terms of fat loss will be slower, especially if you're drinking a lot. You're drinking more than, say, 3-4 standard drinks a week on a regular basis every weekend. The results are going to be slower. There's no way around that than someone that doesn't drink at all, that is consistent on the weekends. They're going to get better results. So it's taking responsibility for the choices you make and being okay with that responsibility. So, for example, for me at the moment, I've just started comp prepping, and I gave myself a little pity party the other day, got myself out of it pretty quickly, but I'm just trying to be true to you guys and be honest that we all have our moments. And everything built up, and I had a lot of work going on, and podcasts had been delayed, and I got back from Arnold's and work was just insane. And I looked at my partner and I said, oh my God, like I'm starting to do some of the things that I don't like about myself in terms of stress building up, things that I've been working on, and I know my triggers now, and I could see it start to build back up. And I sat down with him, and this is the big thing, realizing your triggers before it gets worse. So I sat down with him and I said, something has to change. Or I'm not going to be able to get back on stage. I'm not going to be able to tick off any of my personal goals if I keep working at the capacity that I'm working at. And I think personal goals are so important, and it's something that I haven't made of as an importance for myself personally over the last few years, because I have been very focused and driven by my work because I'm so passionate about it. And work for me is a personal thing because it's my business. But at the same time, you need to have things that are non-work related to keep you sparkle and you're happy, and just get your brain off work for a little while. So for me, that's been things like focusing on a powerlifting contest. One of my other goals is to at one point do a triathlon if I can learn how to swim. No, I can swim, I'm just terrible. And then the other big one there is to get back on the bodybuilding stage. And then my next one after that is to actually have children, which is a massive personal goal. And when it comes to kids, it's not so much the comp prep, it's the time-consuming thing. I think having a child is much more time-consuming and changes your life than any comp prep ever will. But it's kind of like that breaking point of me going, if I'm going to do this comp prep and then afterwards I'm potentially going to think about starting to get ready for a child, I can't continue to work at the level that I'm working. Like, something has to give. So what are the things that I love about my work currently? What are the things I really enjoy? How do I do more of that and less of the stuff that I'm maybe not enjoying as much, or that's draining me too much, or that's taking too much of my energy away? So I made that call, and at the end of the day, it has to come back to what you're comfortable living with. And for me, it's taking a little bit of a financial cut, but I made the choice to stop doing any more personal training. So any extra clients, any of that, completely stop that, which means I actually have a morning routine for the first time in 10 years. So as of next week, no more personal training, besides coming in on a Saturday for one group session that I've taken for the last few years. I love seeing my clients and get them all in one group, catch up with them. Some weeks I might even organize a breakfast for us to go out after or before. I can come in just on that Saturday, do a few sessions if I need to. I can book some posing. I can just put it all in on that one day, and then not be having to drive to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. So I made that choice, and I took the responsibility that I can't expect results and I can't expect to hit my personal goals if I keep putting all of my energy into work and working late, PTing in the morning, being tired, not having my focus and my energy for my own training and nutrition. And that's why I'm trying to show you guys some transparency here, that we all have our own things that are a challenge for us. And it's just taking responsibility and making changes where you can. And sometimes those changes are uncomfortable. So obviously for me, it means a lower income for a certain point, but it also means I've got more energy to put into my online coaching, to put into running camps and seminars, to doing more things that I love doing. And then my happiness level will increase, all of these things. And don't get me wrong, I actually love personal training, and it was a really hard decision because I don't PT a lot anymore, but the clients that I do have, I love every single session. And I say that with all my heart, and it's really, really true. I love those clients I had in the mornings. But the problem was that it was my sleep. It was the getting up that early. It was the lack of morning routine. It's the fact that I never get to just take my dogs for a walk in the morning. I'm never home till like 10, 11, and then half the day's gone. You're online, and then sometimes you're back in the gym in the afternoon, and you just be exhausted. When do you train? So you have to look at it in that sense, that I need to take responsibility for other things in my life, like spending time with my partner, spending time with my dogs, spending time with my friends, all of these things. I used to get to the weekend and be absolutely wiped out and be exhausted and not even want to hang out with anyone. So it's a big thing about taking responsibility for what you can change and then owning that and being happy with your decision. So I'm very happy with my decision. I feel better already. I feel relieved and less stressed. And I've got to, understand that my clients will be fine. They can get a session with someone else. I'm still going to coach them. I'm still going to write their programs, their nutrition, have phone calls with them, chat to them. I'm still going to be there for them. But it's also getting them to take more responsibility in terms of self-motivation, pushing themselves in the gym, all of these things. And then I can also step up my game online. I can film more training videos. I can be there for them in that sense. So I guess if you've got a situation in your life that you're struggling with, and it's something that you really don't like, and whether that be about your body is a big one. So I've got women that I coach that hate certain things about their body. This is probably a better example that will relate to you guys a bit better listening. So I've got women that will come to me and say, oh my God, I hate my legs, or I hate my stomach, I hate my arms. I hate those things, and I've tried everything, but it just doesn't work, so I give up. And the big one there is taking responsibility for what you can and can't change. So sometimes in life, our genetics are going to predetermine a little bit of how our shape is formed. It's going to predetermine our bone structure, our muscular nature, how well we put on muscle, how well we don't put on muscle, all of these things. And I'm not going to say to a woman, the way you look today is how you're going to look forever, because I don't believe that. Obviously, I help people transform their bodies. But in saying that, sometimes they're so hung up on this body part being such a sore point for them that they forget about taking responsibility for the fact that certain things they can't change, and it's going to be a certain way. And what we can do in life is change the things we can change. And that might mean, trying to lose a bit of body fat, being consistent with their diet so that their shape changes overall. Or it might mean changing their training in the gym and being consistent with that. Because I think the big thing is that comes with responsibility is patience and consistency. If you're getting impatient because you haven't seen your body change in like a week or two of doing a new diet and training regime, and you're like, it's that's not working, and you're not taking responsibility for the fact that no, it's actually the fact that you're just not being consistent or not being compliant, and that's why it's not working. I can write someone the most brilliant plan in the world, and if they don't stick to it, are they going to get results? No. They need to take responsibility for the fact that a coach is there to coach and give you all of the tools. I give my clients so many resources, whatever they want. They ask a question, I'll answer it. Whatever they need, I'll help them with. But if they can't, in their own time and on their own time, stick to the plan that's given, or feed back to me and say, I'm struggling with this, can you help me with it? Then we're going to run into some roadblocks, because that's what I'm there to do. If I create a plan, it doesn't work for that person because of maybe their lifestyle, they're really struggling to say get meals in at work, then as long as they tell me that, I'll help them find a solution. I'm never someone that's ever going to give up on someone if they are putting in effort and they're taking responsibility. And that's what it's all about in life. It's like when I take a group training session, and you'll have some people in that group that if you say push for 10 more seconds, they will give you everything they've got in the tank. And you'll have others that you say we've got 10 more seconds, and they slow the fuck down. And they are the people that I really struggle to coach. They're the ones that I'm like, why are you here? Like, I know that sounds harsh, but if you've got 10 seconds on a clock and someone says go for it and you're slowing down, like, where is your responsibility there to push in that session? You're there to work hard, and that is not taking responsibility. And then that's not getting you closer to results and to your goal. So I like to tackle every situation in life. I'm pretty, I guess, aggressive in this sense, that it's a challenge and that I'm competitive. So if someone says to me, push for 10 seconds, you bet your ass I'm going to push as hard as I can. And I think that's a big thing when it comes back to responsibility and consistency. It's like, if you want something bad enough, you will take responsibility for the things that you can control to get you closer to that. So again, I'm not going to keep this episode too long today. I know it's a little bit of a ramble, but start thinking about the things that you can take responsibility for, rather than just being like self-pitiful and doubting yourself and blaming everything else but yourself. So take some responsibility. I know it sounds harsh, but I'm saying this honestly from a loving place, because it's a topic I'm super passionate about. But I am mum around, and I do preach tough love with my clients. But the ones that impress me and the ones that get my praise are the ones that step up, are the ones that if I say give me 10 more, they give me 10 more. Or the ones that have had a shocking week of work and they're stressed out, or they've had a fight with their partners, and they still try their very best to get their training in or nail their macros or whatever it is. Not the ones that go and use that situation as an excuse to binge eat or, go and make poor food choices. Or the clients that are not the strongest in the group, that are deadlifting and squatting half the weight that some of the other girls are using, say, in a group session. But they're the ones that are like busting their ass and they are pushing the hardest. And I can see the intensity. Weight doesn't impress me. Like, weight's irrelevant. Like, I think what's more impressive is someone that keeps grinding. That when everyone else is dying, they keep going. They're the one that's pushing through. That's what is impressive. So yeah, take some responsibility. Have a think about that rather than getting yourself into a pity party, and sometimes writing things down. And if you are sometimes someone that starts to spiral and get really self-pitiful, start to write down what you're grateful for. And that's a really big one that'll help you get back into a more positive headspace. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this quick little episode, and be sure to hit that subscribe, and I will chat to you soon. Thank you for listening to another episode of Breakthrough the Bullshit. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would love it if you could leave a review on iTunes. Let me know, comment what you'd love to see more of, and be sure you've also subscribed on YouTube and iTunes for updates. And if you'd like more info, then you can also add the Team Round Support Facebook page, which is available to access for all of you, and you just simply need to search for it on Facebook.